see. Espresso. 650. AUD. Where's my flat white? 650. I'm good. Give me that flat white. Oof. But I think you might be the first person I met who actually embraces... No, you misunderstand me. I said, I enjoy burying my face in my pillowcase styling lobby as overwhelmed by creeping filling up. That's the name of the third track. See, I never listen to full albums, so there's no way for me to tell you if you're lying or not. A lie is a false statement intended to deceive. If your intent is just to entertain, then you're not a liar. That just makes you a storyteller. The problem with your fake Fall Out Boy song is that it's not too obvious that it's an exaggeration. I mean, that sounds like a kind of song title you expect from an emo band. What if I told you my favorite Fall Out Boy song was I'm like a lawyer with the ways I'm trying to get you off? I assume you were trying to flirt with me because that's obviously can't be a real song title. Well, it's suggestive. Ah, it's lewd. And if I told you my favorite Fall Out Boy song was Bang the Doldrums. Crude. I've got a dark alley bed. Okay. Whoa, rude. This ain't a scene, it's an arms race. Dude. Our lawyers made us change the name of the song so we wouldn't get sued. Objection. This is objection. Are we gonna grab like a flat white or like a croissant or something? Well, that's all there is to see of this upper level. No ring, no bots, so let's head downstairs. What? Not all. You helped me eliminate one entire space as a potential zone to search. And besides that, you kept me company. Engaging in a futile task becomes a heck of a lot more enjoyable when you're doing it while having an interesting conversation. Tuan felt his chest swelling with a bit of pride over Hannah's insinuation that he was a good company. Part of him hoped that their collaborative effort to find the ring, an item so unique that Hannah only had 9 others just like it, wasn't about to come to an end. Do you suppose the little bot you saw might be somewhere down there looking for someone to play with? It's a solid theory. Let's go downstairs. Let's go. You gonna come, or are we done searching? I was just thinking that if you're going to check around downstairs for a moving robot, you might be able to get a better fix on that for up here. Plus, I'm not in the mood for more walking. You want to sit down? Nah, sitting's overrated. I'm really into leaning against things. It doesn't require any effort, but it's slightly more demanding than sitting, so I don't feel completely sedentary. Because you're doing something at least sort of resembles supporting your weight with your weight on 2 legs. He wasn't sure that they would make much progress on finding her ring from this perspective, but he started to think that neither he nor Hannah cared particularly about the outcome of their search, just so long as the journey was interesting. This place is pretty cool. How far is it going to zoom out? Yeah. Interesting crowd, huh? Yeah. Though, I guess even in a place like this, you can't avoid the obligatory guy sporting the blazer hoodie combo. Guy sporting the blazer hoodie. The hey, look at me, I'm so cool and stylish, but also super casual. That's called a high-low mix, and that guy is definitely not the only guy down there sporting such a combination. I'm sorry, did I just dunk into something that you actually hold dearly? Nah, dudes sporting this combo are invariably douchebags. But what if he wasn't? That sounds like the start of a theory. The blazer hoodie combo is something that has a deep sentimental attachment to. His father walked out on the family when he was young, so he grew up looking up mostly to his grandfather, who tragically passed away when he was 12 years old. When his grandfather had passed, his older brother replaced him as father figure. He always admired his older brother, who was the coolest kid in school and the captain of the track team. The blazer belonged to his late grandfather, and the hoodie was his older brother's track sweatshirt that he gifted to his younger brother the day before he left uni. Tragically, his brother was killed in a car accident that autumn, and he never returned from his first semester at uni. It's not uni, it's uni. Dang it. It's been a while since I lived in Australia. Whenever he finds himself feeling lonely, he puts on his brother's track hoodie and grandfather's blazer and goes out to drink to their memory. Did you have that one locked and loaded? Or did you just come up with these on the fly? My brain works fast when theorizing about people. That's what I do on the tram. When everyone else is buried in their phones, I'm people watching. Damn. All this time, whenever I was out in public, I'd be repeating the internal mantra. No need to feel self-conscious. Nobody is watching you. They're all wrapped up in their own little world. Now I know that people watchers like you exist, and I'll never be able to do that again. People actually don't see you, though. They see whatever they choose to project onto you. That guy down there? Who knows what his deal is? All we have are theories. And the theories that we come up with reveal more about us than they do about them, right? So in a way, people watching is a window to self-reflection. It's an exercise in human empathy. It's easy to play on stereotypes, say that guy must be a douche. But it is a lot more fun to try and come up with an alternate story. People aren't always what they seem. I like to come up with dark, macabre stories about what people's backstories might be. Now that you said that, you have to share one of those dark thoughts. No, I shouldn't. But you're going to. Nah, I'm not going to. It's one of my rules. Rule. It's one of my rule. Some people deal better with dark thoughts by sharing them. But I found that I'm really bad at gauging what's appropriate or inappropriate to share. Sharing usually sends me on a continuing spiral that only ends up in bad places. So no stories for tonight. Are you wondering if you're allowed to tell? Because I think we're at the point where you shouldn't have to wait for me to ask. My rule isn't to protect the audience, it is for me. And I think we're still at a point where there are questions that I'm not ready to answer. Oh, he's looking at me. Oh. That doesn't mean I'm bothered by you asking. I mean, there are always going to be topics that aren't on the table. But you won't know until you ask. it's great that you think that. And here I was thinking I ruined the mood. It's okay for the mood to get somber. When the mood gets dark and serious, that doesn't mean it's ruined, right? After all, some people like it dark. You like it dark? Hey, you can't have light without darkness, right? Sometimes you need to get somber and serious to make yourself enjoy the good times more. Good thinking. That's why I start every day by slamming my head against the wall. So that way, it'll feel good when I stop. Really? Really, Hannah? That's a quote of the day. Whoa, how did he just like teleport over there? I grew up on north of Brisbane. Do you know what the weather is like there? Nope. But I do know that I like talking about weather to get away from unpleasant topics. Animation, hair flip. It's downright tropical. No bad days, good weather all year round. But there are so many days when it would be gorgeous out, and I go by my local park and see no one's out. No kids playing, no one's out walking their dog. Sounds like a lame place to live. It kind of was. The thing is, when you never have bad weather, when there's no bad days, there can never be good days either. But in Melbourne, when you get a nice day, people go outside. They don't squander it. Ooh. And that's the case for dark and melancholy conversation. Pretty much. I mean, if everything's at a 10, it may as well be a 1. You need range in life. I'm not so sure. I think I'd be fine if I only ever saw the happy parts. Are we gonna play checkers? Gameplay? Oh snap. It feels like a paradox, doesn't it? The people who seem to be the most obsessed with the pursuit of happiness seem to be the most unhappy and unfulfilled. Well, yeah. That's why they're so obsessed with pursuing happiness, because they don't have it. But there's a reason that people go to horror films. I don't think the opposite of happy is sad. I think maybe the opposite of happy is emptiness, or a general lack of feeling. You know, clinical depression isn't about feeling melancholy all the time, right? It's not about a feeling of constant sadness so much as a feeling of constant, well, nothing. Bam! I think this is the best track in the soundtrack. Speaking from experience, geez. Why is her face like completely washed out? Is that like a style thing? It's like you're in like Photoshop or Adobe Lightroom and you turn highlight bar all the way to like 10. That's a personal question. Yeah, and I was hoping for a personal answer. I've never heard someone wax philosophical about emotions and they get reserved about when asked about their emotions. Bam! A medical condition goes a little beyond the realm of talking about emotions. Let's just say that I'm no longer taking medication to treat clinical depression. No longer taking it as in you were taking it at one point. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to subtly imply before you explicitly pointed it out. Gotcha. Let's dance around things indirectly. That makes for good communication. Now you got it. Innuendo is what makes conversation fun, if you know what I mean. Bam! I could see through his eyebrows. Tuan was grinning widely when he delivered the line, but a silence followed. For a brief moment, he was worried if he had something wrong, but an equally wide grin on Hannah's face told him that it was okay. The initial panic had passed. He found that he actually liked the experience. Although he worried that the silence would grow uncomfortably long, part of him wanted to continue living in that moment. You enjoy talking? Not really. Is that a complaint about me hogging the conversation? Nah. It's just that you're a bit more, expressive than you come across when I first approached you. Yeah, wasn't he like shy and reserved, tucked in a little corner looking at books, and then it's like, boom! I was conditioned to be meek from an early age. What you're seeing are the results of an extensive deprogramming of effort. What? That's funny. I guess I kind of see it, but I don't want to assume based on... She trailed off, seeming a bit unsure how to phrase her thoughts diplomatically. If you're feeling squeamish about making assumptions based on my ethnicity, you can rest assured that your assumptions are probably correct. You can probably deduce everything you need to know about my childhood from what you know about the kinds of expectations that Asian parents place on their kids. For some, meekness comes naturally. For me, it was a learned trait that came from growing up in a household where being well-behaved was synonymous with being quiet. Bam! Okay. It's okay, we can say Asian. Oh, gameplay? I thought that was gameplay. Man. Funny, I never thought about that part of it. When you talk about the expectations of Asian parents, I was thinking more about like scholastic and academic achievement. Oh, you can trust those assumptions as well. Like many immigrant parents, they want their son to be more successful than they are. But my mother was an MD and my father was an OD, and it's kind of hard to figure out what's supposed to be one level above that, let alone achieve it. What's an OD? Doctor of Optometry. It was a big disappointment to my mother's parents, who were hoping for their daughter would go for an... Sounds like he really let the family down. I know it sounds like I'm saying that in jest, but let me tell you, whatever perceptions you might have about family strictness, in my family, they're stricter. Like, graduate second year of class, and then you get a remark from your mother at a graduation that you could have been the first if you hit the books a little harder. That level of strict. Yeah, it must have been tough for you to deal with that. My mom never said anything like that when we were driving to chemotherapy. Oh! Unfair. How about we stop playing the game of compare hardship, since I'm never going to win that one? What do you mean you don't want to spend time dwelling on the least pleasant parts of your personal history? Come on, dredging up childhood traumas is everyone's favorite hobby. Wah! Where's your sense of despair? Despair! Is this like, what do you call that? Well, I do know some people who pay by the hour to dredge up childhood dramas. Alright, consider this a free therapy session over. From now on, we'll only talk about happy things. What do you think about cats? Hate them? That makes two of us. So much for happy thoughts. They are happy thoughts, though. I like the image cats evoke. As a concept, cats are great. But as beasts, they're vile, spiteful, wretched creatures. Oh, animation! I'm glad we're on the same page. Disliking cats, probably the most unpopular opinion that I have. That's the game, not me. Tuan enjoyed the easy rapport that seemed to have quickly built up between him and Hannah. But it also made him feel an unease deep within himself. The thought of finding something precious and losing it filled him with panic. Panic! That sudden fear of loss stirred inside of him, growing stronger with every passing moment, until he found himself physically trembling, his fingers losing their grip. Oh! Are you okay? Yeah, I just felt a bit uneasy on my feet. Sorry about that. This place, well, it's not normal. You can say that again. This place definitely isn't normal. He felt himself lying as he said it. The truth was that the feeling of anxiety, physically gnawing at his body, were frequently occurrences he had dealt with since his early teenage years. They were hauntingly normal for him. He stood there uncomfortably in front of Hannah, searching for a normal thing to say. For the right thing to say. But he was pretty sure that chasing normacy was the thing that had reduced him to a pile of mush, so he stayed silent. I'm sorry to have spent so much of your time. You definitely don't have to apologize for that. You're spending my time on spending your time. It's mutual. And for a moment, the two said nothing. With each passing moment, the compulsion to say something to break the silence strengthened. They simply enjoyed each other's company. He looked over and realized that Hannah was resting her eyes closed, rocking forward and back on the balls of her feet in a rhythmic sort of way. Are you... Shh. Can you hear it? He wasn't sure he can hear anything over within the dying of the crowd below, but he heard a familiar sound. The whirring of servos. Is this your ring? That's the one. I like this. This is a good camera. I mean, they have some very cool camera angles on this one. I think this would be interesting to have. I think this would make a good wedding picture, actually. Right? It's a nice framing over her face, right? You can imagine the background just being like a beautiful, like, grass landscape. Interesting perspective. I like it. That's the one. Bam. Great. Now you can get back to what you were doing. What were you doing? Oh yeah, I forgot. You can kind of like move the screen around a little bit. Yeah, great. Well, see you around. See you around. As she walked off, he found himself wondering why he just dismissed her as soon as the ring was found. As she walked towards the stairs, his mind raced for an excuse to continue their conversation. Maybe he was supposed to yell out, "Hey, you got something on your sweater," or something like that. He brainstormed several ideas with a growing sense of urgency as she began descending down the stairs. With each step she took, the likelihood of their conversation continuing felt like it would wane as she completely disappeared from sight. Damn. Please don't tell me this is over. Please don't tell me it's over. At least get some coffee. He had spent enough time playing darts by now. The grip of the dart in his hand began to feel natural, like holding a pencil. In a game that he completely lost track of time. Everyone seemed to be preoccupied by otherwise uninterested in conversing with a teenage boy, so he turned his back to the dartboard over to the wall to retrieve his darts. Playing darts was something he had started as a distraction, something to keep himself busy during moments when there was nothing else to do. He also figured that it would look great that it looked a great deal less awkward than burying his face in his phone, which was his usual go-to place where he actually got service. In both cases, his behavior was guided by the thought that if you look like you're focused on something, observers tend to pay no heed to the fact that you're by yourself. The more he practiced, the more he grew immersed in the activity. Over time, it became less of an escape from a potential awkward moment and more of an interesting way to challenge himself. Despite the practice, his skills didn't seem to be improving much. But he didn't mind. He wasn't on the path to self-improvement. Still, it put him ahead of anyone who ever never played the game of darts, which happened to be the most people, even in a setting like this. He chucked dart after dart without a care for those around him. Hey, I haven't seen you since breakfast. Hannah! Hey. You know that line only works when you actually had breakfast together, right? Duly noted. That would make more sense. You like playing darts? Want to learn? Only when I don't have company of others to keep me occupied. And here I was thinking I teed you up perfectly to give me a lesson on how to play darts. She teed you up, man. You probably don't want me teaching you how to play darts. I'm not very good. You had me fooled. Looks like you just got 2 consecutive bullseyes. Ooh. The goal of darts isn't to hit the middle of the board. You see, each segment of the board is worth a different number of points. You start with a fixed number of points, usually 501 or 301, and then you throw the darts to deduct the amounts from your number. The trick is, actually, you were right. I don't want you to teach me how to play darts. That's a relief.